everybody. This is the Cadillac Simply the Best podcast. And today I have with me my son, Brian Welliver.
Oh,
And it's so good to have Brian with us today. We are going to do something a little bit different. I have a very favorite poem that is a poem that I use throughout my career to give me hope and to give me strength when things aren't going so well. We all struggle. I know you struggle.
yeah. And I just read the poem before we did it, and it's a very nice poem.
It's by Robert W. Service, and the background of the poem is it was written for the soldiers during World War One when they were in the trenches and things were just looking so bleak. And as you may remember with World War One, they say that there was a lost generation because so many people died in World War One, either that between that and the um, pandemic that they had at that time with the Spanish flu.
Right.
That was so terrible. So we're going to go ahead and read this poem. Again, it's Carry On by Robert William Service. He's a Canadian, by the way. All right, so here we go. The name of it again is Carry On, Carry On. Carry on, my son, carry on. And so in the strife of the battle of life, it's easy to fight when you're winning. It's easy to slave and starve and be brave when the dawn of success is beginning. But the man who can meet despair and defeat with a cheer, there's a man of God's choosing. The man who can fight to heaven's own height is the man who can fight when he's losing.
Carry on, carry on. Things never were looming so black. It showed that you haven't a cowardly streak, and though you're unlucky, you never are weak. Carry on, carry on. Brace up for another attack. It's looking like hell, but you never can tell. Carry on, old man, carry on.
There's some who drift out in the deserts of doubt, and some who in brutishness wallow. There are others I know who in piety go, because of a heaven to follow. But to labor with zest and to give it your best for the sweetness and joy of the giving, to help folks along with a hand and a song, why there's the real sunshine of living.
Carry on, carry on. Fight the good fight and true. Believe in your mission. Greet life with a cheer. There's big work to do, and that's why you are here. Carry on, carry on. Let the world be the better for you. And at last, when you die, let this be your cry. Carry on, my soul, carry on.
Awesome. So that's the end. So now we're going to chat a little bit about each stanza. I'm going to go first. I'm going to just set the stage on where I first heard of this poem. One of my all-time heroes in life is a guy named by the name of Brian Tracy, and he introduced me to this poem during a speech he gave, and I will put the link to the speech he gave in the link below. It's his favorite speaking engagement that I'd ever seen him do, and so that's where it came from. And so in the strife, in the battle of life, it's easy to fight when you're winning. Everyone loves to win, don't they, Brian?
Yeah, and if you're really good, it's easy to win all most of the time. But everyone comes up against a challenge every once in a while.
That's the truth. Back in the World War One age, there was a lot of times young men, they rush off to war. You saw that in Gone with the Wind when all the soldiers were racing to join the war in that movie, and you see so many times. So at the beginning of a war, it's like there's a lot of excitement
Yeah,
and people seem to want to do it. So it seems like, success is inevitable. They're very, very anxious to get out there. But then the defeat, the despair, this does remind me a lot also of business. You start your business and you really want to go for it, or college, or any new endeavor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's a situation where you have to have a reserve because if it says it's the man who can uh, the man who can fight to heaven's height is the one who can fight when he's losing. So if you're losing and you don't have much hope of winning, are you still going to fight or are you just going to concede? Like that's a choice everyone has to make.
Every day. Yeah. Am I going to keep going? Are we going to push through? So the next stanza starts out as carry on, carry on. Things never were looming so bleak. So I want you guys out there in the audience of this particular podcast to just think for a moment. When were you feeling super bleak? Really, was it the day that your dog died, or was it the day that you got some bad news at work, or something is looming blink? Um, and how did you react?
It reminds me of a few other things that I've heard, like farmers have to like. There's a good poem by who was that guy who did the Sunday morning? Anyways, he did a thing on farmers, and it's like when the farm what do you do when the crops go black?
Oh my, yeah, that would
And,
be.
and that's like all your investments as a farmer, as a small time farmer, is in your fields, and what happens when you get a bad crop.
Oh, and that reminds me of the potato famine over in Ireland when year after year after year there was a blight in the potatoes.
Yeah,
And
because the oversaturation of farming.
right, and so so many people starved when they all were leaning on that one crop. And so you were lucky, but you never are weak. Carry on, brace up for another attack. It's looking like hell, but you never can tell. Carry on, old man, carry on. So it's saying, hey, we all go through this, but pick yourself back up because you know what they say. It doesn't matter how far you fall as long as you get back up. Okay. What do you think about the next stanza, Brian? You can remind everybody what it
Uh,
said. This one.
it's just the brutishness, brutishness. Like you're just gonna be macho and just gonna uh he's kind of comparing the two contrasting, like are you gonna be macho or are you gonna turn to God and just be pious, or are you gonna labor with enjoyment of what you're doing and not say like a negative thing about what you're doing, but just keep positive and give it your best every single chance you have. And everyone will fall down from the perfect mindset once in a while,
Absolutely.
but it's like the person that can keep reminding themselves of the positive that they know and the lessons that they've been taught, like this lesson here in this poem. It's like you gotta have the resources first, and then you have to have the wisdom to keep the resources in mind.
You
Right.
are so right, Brian. That is so true. And I love the way that you brought out the comparative analysis of how people, again, this particular stanza is my favorite because it talks about how people there are different types of approaches to tough times. And it begins with some people will drift out in the desert of doubt and they're just like, why me? Why is this doubt? I just it always happens to me or have this I
That's my
never
biggest one. That's the one I fall into is the
the
deserts of
doubt,
doubt.
the
That's the
deserts of
first
doubt.
one that's me a little bit. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn from this lesson. I have a poem afterwards after we do this one, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
poems are very, very cool. And then the next area you brought out was with in brutishness wallow. See, I never knew that was I didn't understand what brutishness wallowing meant. So to you, Brian, you thought it was some tough guy just sitting back.
Oh, like a tough guy saying, "Oh, we're all gonna die," in a war. If you're in a war, it's like,
Oh,
war is hell. You just kill or be killed, and blah 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 blah. It's like,
it's very brutish.
and you're kind of pessimistic at the same time a little bit.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I never
I think
picked up
it's a
on that
masculine
before.
trait, probably.
Yeah, you're right. I never picked up on that. And then the others that are pious and they're like, oh, so it will be. So it is, this is just our fate. But the one that he likes and the one that the author of the poem says, but to labor with zest and give it your best for the sweetness and joy of the giving. And that reminds me of my favorite saying, and that is the secret to living is giving. And to help folks along with a hand in a song, why there's the real sunshine of living. I love that stanza. Okay, let's wrap it up. We have one last stanza, and go for it, Brian.
Well, are you going? Is greet life with a cheer? Uh, he's inspiring you. There's big work to do. There's a big thing to accomplish, and he's kind of like leaving it on a good note. Like, be positive, and while you work, and enjoy yourself, and try to leave the world a better place. I think he ends it
Yeah,
on.
absolutely. Be leave the better. And then I love how he wraps it all up at the end. You know, how it began is carry on, my son, carry on. But then he ends it with, and at last when you die, let this be your cry. Carry on, my soul, carry on. So it just gives me chills. This is my favorite poem in the whole wide world. And thanks for sharing that with me today, Brian. And let's move on to the next poem that you have on your phone.
Well, mine is by Rudyard Kipling, and
Oh, I love him.
he uh he was famous for the Jungle Book, and he was against the Irish. Actually, we were just talking about the Irish famine. He was a big but yeah, Ireland should stay English, but
Yeah, he
British.
was a 100% Englishman.
Yeah, I know a lot about the Irish a little bit. That's one of my hobbies was used to be learning about Ireland. But I'll read it. It's called If. Did you want to read it with me, or do you want me to read it?
We can read it together.
Okay, I'll read the first one.
Okay.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired of waiting, or being lied about, not deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise.
If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools.
If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it all on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings, never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing to you except the will which says to them, hold on.
If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foe nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of a distant run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Wow, that's powerful, Brian.
Yeah, it's my favorite poem actually.
Yeah, yeah, Kipling is amazing.
Yeah, but basically it's like I know it's kind of a bias because it's old fashioned. It's
Well,
comes
they're
from
of the same
1900s, but
genre. You know, these two were contemporaries.
yeah.
Rudyard Kipling was during World War One.
Well, I'm just saying he says man, but it could be like
Sure,
adult
sure. And this
adult
one is
person.
very focused on a man as well.
Yeah, but the 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 thing I got out of it is the last yours is the earth and everything that's in it. If you can do everything like this, like if you can do all that at the same time, and then the earth is yours because you don't have to be at the top. You don't have to be always at the bottom. You can you can just enjoy yourself if you can do all those things.
He was an amazing writer, and I love that poem too. Thank you for sharing that with me and the podcast today. I have a Rudyard Kipling quote that I use almost every day in my life.
Oh, you do?
I do, and you know it. You'll know it when you hear it.
Okay.
And Rudyard Kipling wrote this: I have 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what and where and when and why and how and who. And I always use that when I don't know what to say. Do you ever feel like you're in a situation, you just don't know what to say, and you're gobsmacked? You don't know, maybe you're meeting a new person, you're trying to build some type of rapport. And the best thing to do is to ask those questions.
Yeah, and I just want to take this moment to say thank you, Rose, my mom, for doing these podcasts. They are so inspiring to me, and I think to others. I think we haven't perfected the polish of the podcast
No,
yet.
not yet. I don't know how to do that.
It's like it takes a lot of know-how just to make everything look production worthy. But if you sit through these interviews that she does with people in these podcasts, you'll get so inspired because she's a wealth of information, and the people she finds, I'm like, where do these people come from? She runs across these people, and they have amazing ideas on
Right.
your
Yeah.
podcast,
There's so many.
and
Well, Cadillac is simply the best. There's tons of people and the Michigan Innovation, because we have 2 podcasts, the Michigan Innovation podcast and the Cadillac Simply the Best.
and like I was saying before, it's the resources. Like I'm in recovery for mental illness, as some may know, some may not know. But what I've learned is that you have to have the resources first.
Absolutely.
You have to have you have to sit, like, I don't know if you know this, but if you have a mental breakdown and you go to the hospital, what do? They have you go to a group where they teach you the resources. They teach you the
Ah,
coping mechanisms, like what to do. They teach you like things like this would probably be worthy of conversation in a mental illness setting because it inspires people and it's something to remind them of
yes.
when things do get hard.
Thank you for
So
sharing that,
so
Brian.
I think this podcast has a lot of potential.
Oh, I agree. I love you for saying that. And, you have so much potential yourself and you've made so much progress. I'm so proud of you. I know that the folks from Club Cadillac are very eager to have you continue to join them and they were on the podcast too.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. I've seen it 3 times.
Have you really? Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be so
Like I haven't seen all your podcasts, but the ones I like, I watch over and over.
Well, that's good to know. Well, we are about wrapped up. So this is it for Cadillac Simply the Best. And we hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.